Hi and welcome to this tutorial on how to write a theme of variations. So in this playlist you'll find videos recording me writing these theme of variations, and at the end of the playlist are the actual finished theme and variations which you might want to skip to check out what I've come up with, and the scores are included there. In this particular video I wanted to provide an overview of writing theme of variations, and please do subscribe to the channel and hopefully like the videos. So firstly, the theme. How long should it be? Well, if you think about that you want to write a piece that's say 10 minutes long, you probably want quite a reasonably short theme so that you could write enough variations on that, taking you up to 10 minutes. Another reason for writing a slightly shorter theme is that you don't exhaust your creativity by writing too many long variations, and also if you're a complete beginner, maybe just write 4 bars as a theme and write a few variations on that, just sort of build it up and don't overstretch yourself. So the theme should contain varied material, varied in terms of harmonic, in terms of rhythmic material, potentially in terms of structure. As an example, if you have all your theme is on the chord of G major, then by the 4th or 5th variation, the listener's probably getting a bit tired of G major. An ABA structure is quite good. The A, having the A repeated at the end, gives the structure closure, and the B section can add a bit more interest in terms of different rhythmic or thematic material. Now onto the variations. Well, how many? It's really up to you, and as I said, it depends on the length of the piece you're writing and the length of your theme that you're doing variations on. I would go for, I don't know, well I've written 8, so I think 7 or 8 is a good number. Again, if you're a beginner, maybe go for 3 or 4. In terms of what you write in the variations, they could be obviously fast or slow. They could be in the relative major or minor of the theme. Different time signatures, different structures potentially, or just extending the structures slightly. They could be simple, they could be ornamental, they could be virtuosic. And in terms of a modern twist, you could even write them for different instruments or different composers. The different composers could write different variations, or they could be in different styles, romantic or classical or whatever. So as an example, I've written a theme of variations in a simple classical style and documented the compositional process on a bar by bar basis. And as I said, you can skip straight to the finished versions at the end of the playlist and see what I've come up with. So in terms of the theme, I've gone for an ABA structure in G major, with the A section modulating to the dominant. Then the B section transitions back from the dominant to reference back to the A section. It's not a direct copy of the A section, which is something that you could do. This way the theme is short and has harmonic interest, and let me just show you what I wrote for the theme just quickly. So we've got a very simple kind of melody in the violin accompanied by the piano. This is the A section. These 4 bars are then answered by another 4 bar modulating to the dominant. Then we've got a B section that transitions back to the A material here, which you'll recognise from up here. In terms of the variations, the variation 1 that I've written is fast. It uses chords in the violin, arpeggios in the piano, and also scales on the piano. And I'll just give you a quick view of that one. So we've got chords in the violin, arpeggios and contrary motion on the piano. We've got scales. It continues into the B section. We've got these arpeggios here. Variation 2 is slow, which uses scales on the piano and imitation between the piano and the violin. And let me just show you that one. So we've got scales on the piano, imitation by the violin. The B section is much more dark and dramatic, with these octaves and the change in momentum, if you like. In variation 3, we've got the violin taking the theme's melody to reinforce the theme in the listener's mind, which is something that's quite useful. After you've had a few variations, the listener might not remember the original theme. So let me just show you that one. So we've got the theme in the violin with sort of a tremolo accompaniment in the piano and arpeggios again. Got a bit of hand crossing over there for a bit of interest. Variation 4 is in a minor key and has a different time signature, and it modulates in the A section to the relative major now. It also contains the repeats, but the repeats aren't note for note, they're actually written out and sort of varied more. I'll just show you that quickly. So it's in 6/8 time in G minor, modulating to the relative major, and then the repeats, which starts from here, aren't note for note, but they have a different accompaniment in the piano. Variation 5 is slow and ornamented. It's a much freer piece, the structure is freer. We focus more on the modulation to the dominant, the harmonies expanded. Let me just quickly show you that one. So we focus much more on the modulation to the dominant, using more harmonic language. We've got extension of the harmonic language in the B section as well, which I talk about in the tutorials. So variation 6 is in 6/8 time, uses the harmonies of the theme but more loosely, and the second A section uses the full A section, but obviously without modulating. And that's this one here. So again, we've got arpeggios in the piano. Variation 7 distills the first 2 bars of the theme down into the first 4 bars of the original theme down into the first 2 bars of variation 7. And the B section uses the ideas from the first bar of the variation. And that's this one here. Again, lots of arpeggios, scales, chords, bit of Alberti bass in the right hand, triplets. And variation 8 is the final one with a coda that returns to the theme, the material of the theme. Obviously, I think, as I said before, after the variations have been played, the theme is obscured, so to have it reinforced to the listener is quite useful. And let me just show you that one. So it's got a variation, a full variation, and then over here, after the variation's finished, it goes straight into this coda section that references back to it actually references back to one of the variations, which I talk about in that tutorial, but also goes back to the original idea of the theme there. So final points is obviously to have fun doing this, and don't exhaust yourself creatively by writing too long a theme and too many variations, and obviously ask help, and look at how the great composers did it as well. And just another final point, please do subscribe to the channel. I spent quite a lot of time working on this, so it'd be great to know that you appreciate that. And also please check out my other videos.